G'day guys, we're here with the 2024 Toyota Landcruiser 300 Series Sahara, and I just want to show you a couple of features of the car that I like. We've done multiple reviews on the 300 Series over the last probably 4 years, but we just wanted to review it and see, is it still worth buying in 2024, and is it still a nice car? So let me open the bonnet and show you what we get under the bonnet here in Australia. So here in Australia we get a 3.3 litre twin turbo V6 diesel engine. It's good for 227 kilowatts of power and 700 Newton meters of astronomical torque. Now, I have previously owned a 200 series VX Landcruiser, and it was a twin turbo diesel, and I absolutely loved that car. But let me tell you, there's something about the new 300 series that just levels up everything I liked about that car. Yes, I kind of miss having a V8 and that nice, easy sound that comes from an effortless V8 powered car, but this is still plenty powerful for most applications, and it's going to be good on fuel as well for such a big car. Although if you're buying a Land Cruiser, you're probably not all that worried about fuel consumption. I know I never was when I owned my 200 series. Now, the engine itself covers everything you need here. The one thing that is very different with this particular setup when it comes to a snorkel perspective, your snorkel is going to end up on the left-hand side, not on the right-hand side. So just bear that in mind when you are picking out a snorkel. It's going to look a little bit weird initially because we've become so accustomed to the snorkels being on the right-hand side of the car, and in this time it will be the left-hand side. I think I said it the other way around before, but you get what I mean. The other thing is this bonnet is actually pretty lightweight, and that's because it's aluminium. So you know, with the car itself, they've tried to save as much weight as possible in certain areas to deliver obviously some of the improvements that have come at a cost of weight. At the front, moving away from the engine, you have a camera at the front here, which is the multi-terrain monitor that gives you a nice overall off-road view. Now, the Land Cruiser was actually one of the first cars in the market that came with a multi-terrain monitor, and that meant that you could see obstacles around your sides, around the front and around the back in an off-road environment and while parking around shopping centers. So from a technology point, it's not all that new here in the land of Toyota and in the land of Land Cruiser, but it definitely is up to date with some of the other brands out there that now have caught up with this particular tech. Front parking sensors adorn the front here, and a radar grille. Being a Sahara, it comes with active cruise control, and that is the unit itself sits behind this badge here. Now, LED daytime running lights and LED headlights in this sleek and slender headlight design. When it first launched, wasn't 100% sure if I liked it. That design has definitely grown on me in the last 4 years, and I think for a lot of people, because there's still a lot of demand for this particular model. 18-inch alloy wheels on the side with Bridgestone jewelers. Now, you can swap those tires out to whatever you need to. They are more highway biased than off-road biased in the tread, and that will give you some good fuel consumption and a comfortable and smooth drive. However, if you do want something a bit more aggressive in an all-terrain or a mud terrain, there's plenty of options in the market there for that for you. Down the side steps and roof rails that are easily accessible. You have both cameras as well as the mirrors on the outside here, which have your blind spot monitoring. Handles that are super easy to operate. They're normal handles. To lock it, you just do that when the key isn't in it, and just slide your hand in here to unlock when the key's out. Opening up the back door, you have plenty of room to get in and out of the car. It's not as wide opening as some other family-made mid-size SUVs that have 90-degree opening doors, but you'll definitely find an easy way to get in and out, and you get 2 color displays directly behind the front seats that allow you to watch movies on the go, or that Baby Shark or Bluey series that you've been meaning to catch up on, all easily accessible throughout there. Moving around to the side, rear parking sensors are standard on the back. You have a tow hitch that comes standard, and this cover is removable so that you can slot a tongue and a wiring harness in if you have opted for that. And this is deceptive because it kind of makes it feel like it's about to split in the tailgate, so one bit goes up and one bit comes down. This actually just only goes up, and it's electronic, and because it's such a large piece, it's a little bit slow. But these struts are heavy duty and have been designed for longevity in mind, being Toyota as well. So they will hold up over time as well and not degrade. In here, You get a little bit of storage underneath here for whatever you need to have. And then these back seats, they do come up and down electronically, making it super easy to store them away, to put anything like drawers or any other kind of camping gear that you want in the back. And because they fold flat instead of folding up on the sides like the previous 200 series, you will still have plenty of space that's usable when you don't need to have these seats in here. But if you are prone to getting unexpected visitors, you will also be able to store them flat for when you need a little bit of space for things when they're not around. One key thing to make note of is these are not child restraint points or back child seat tethers. These are just cargo tie downs for whatever you've got loose in the car. You have them in each corner. If you're a parent, please stop strapping your kids' baby seats to those straps because they're not rated for that job. Instead, you do get those directly behind the middle row of seats. You have 3 of them and they're directly behind the seats so that they won't impede in that 3rd row, whether the seats are up or whether you've got a back area full of cargo. You'll still have your child tether points directly behind those seats. Up here, you've got your speaker holes and grills just there, being that it has a premium sound system as part of being a Sahara. And that electronic tailgate can be stopped anywhere up or down in the full length of travel and programmed to stay open or stay closed at the desired height. All you need to do is push and hold on that lock button. That will give you a couple of beeps to let you know that that's been reprogrammed. And then you just press it again and get it to go down or up to the height that you've programmed. So super easy to program that in case you do have a low ceiling roof or garage that needs kind of a little bit of clearance. So you've got some options there. Now let's move into the front and see what you get as a driver. Now, moving through to the inside, you have soft touch materials at the top here. They're not super soft and spongy like some other cars, but they are softer than the harder plastics at the bottom. Now, this is more of a longevity point with Toyota, as they do give you some materials that, while they aren't as premium feeling all the time compared to some other competitors, they do last. And having been an owner of a 200 series, an 80 series, 100 series, and a Hilux in the past, I can tell you without a doubt that these things they last. And the interiors put up a pretty good fight. Unlike the handbrake in the previous model Landcruiser, where I constantly had to get that adjusted. So let me know in the comments, have you got a tail or two with your Landcruiser handbrake? Moving through to some of the other features, you have 3 programmable seat positions here that you can actually set. So you can have up to 3 different drivers that swap in and out and have perfectly comfortable seats. You do have over here your power windows, your power mirrors, and retracting external mirrors, which makes it super easy, plus some wood grain material just here. And it's a little bit less in your face than other fake wood grain materials that you get in cars nowadays. So particularly the Japanese players absolutely love this fake wood grain rather than real wood grain. So with the Nissan Patrol that we recently did a review of, you would have noticed that it had a lot of fake wood grain, and it's really in your face. Even after 3 updates, they still haven't got rid of it. And that's exactly what we're talking about. It just doesn't look nice, whereas Toyota's had a nice subtle looking infill and insert that just cleans it up and doesn't make it too annoying and too in your face. So good job there. Moving through to the inside, these seats are very comfortable. They are within reach with things like your electronic tailgate release up here and your little card holder here for fuel cards, toll cards, whatever. Fuel and bonnet release just there, and the seat itself, fully electronic and fully adjustable. Being a Landcruiser Sahara, it also has a smart seat that will adjust and reposition your steering wheel to the position that is desired. And your indicators and wipers on the left-hand side both have auto functions for the wipers and auto functions for the headlights as well, so making it super easy to use and to drive. The display, it's a mixture of digital and analog. Some people will like that. It gives it a bit of a mixed premium feel, futuristic, but also that kind of nice tried and tested analog display. And you have a heads-up display that is very practical and relatively clear and useful. The one thing I will say though, compared to some of its competitors, you can't really see that all that easily with polarized glasses, where there are some other competitors that have designed heads-up display units that are easily used with polarized sunglasses. So just a small little thing there. Air conditioning vents in the perfect spots. That's the one thing with Land Cruiser that I absolutely love. You always get the air exactly where you need to get it directed. And you will notice that, unfortunately, there's no gentleman sausage and cherry cooler down the bottom here. So previous generations of the Land Cruiser and even the 70 series had some ventilation slots there that kept your package nice and cool. This car has gone away with that. Steering wheel itself, leather wrapped. You have a little bit of wood grain look material here, but you have got rid of that wood grain at the top of the steering wheel that you had in previous generation Land Cruisers. And the steering wheel is electronically adjustable for height and also for reach, making it the perfect car for you to get into position as well. Aircon vents all throughout here, and there's a lot more to talk about this center, so come around and let me show you what we've got in the middle. Now, moving to the middle, there's a few things that I want to touch on, and one of those is the glove box. It's dual direction for opening, meaning that if you want to keep some cold drinks in here, Red Bull drinks, whatever, long necks, for when you park up, you can keep those in here and just open up from either side. You're not having to open this up this way. The one downside to that is the people in the back can't easily reach, like other cars that go this way and that way. There you go. Cup holders exactly where they need to be and really well positioned and really well designed to keep everything sturdy, from small coffees all the way up to large drinks. And they have this handy little disc that comes out on both slots. That disc there allows you, on the right hand slot, that disc there allows you to have a deeper cup. So if you wanted to have something slightly longer in there, you will be able to have a cool drink in there, or maybe even a really long, tall Red Bull can. You'll be able to fit it into there. Wireless charging pad is standard and is positioned right here. And behind this little drop-down slot here, you have some handy features such as USB-C, USB-A charger, which is the data connection for the display, and also a 12-volt outlet all throughout here. Air conditioning controls, dual zone climate control at the front, another 2 zones in the rear give you 4-zone climate control. You also have heated and ventilated seats for the front 2 seats, making it an absolute dream to drive around town. And you also have the addition of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on this massive screen. But let me show you a couple things with that. Because while it's great that that is now standard and we don't have to pay to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto installed like I did on my last 200 series Land Cruiser, it comes with a couple of quirks. Also, it has a CD player. So for those of you that still have CDs and want to crank out your tunes, your Slim Dusty, your Lee Kernaghan, or maybe your Taylor Swift, you're pretty good and set to have those playing in there with the premium JBL system. Now with the Apple CarPlay in, you will see that the screen doesn't fill up completely like other brands. So this is always here on the right hand side, always has your aircon controls, has your heating controls for the steering wheel, fuel consumption, information about the car in general. Has all of that information still there, and you can actually switch which side that information is being presented. So if you wanted to have easier access and reach to your Apple CarPlay, you can grab onto there. But the screen, it's not as responsive as I would have expected. In this case, I think Toyota has gone for longevity again, knowing that the Land Cruiser owners will take their cars into harsher conditions and have them for longer. And part of me almost feels like they've designed this screen for longevity rather than to look as fancy and shiny as new current model competitors that have much nicer screens. Even within the Toyota range, there are other models that have slightly better infotainment screens. Let me know in the comment section if you think that that would stop you from buying the car, or whether you would just get used to it. Personally, as someone that had the previous generation 200 series with a big digital display and no Apple CarPlay, I paid $1,800 just to have Apple CarPlay added to that head unit. And I gotta be honest, I probably, like once it was plugged in, I never really touched it. So I think you'll be all right, but just curious to see what you think. Digital full display mirror is not standard on the Sahara here in Australia. So you get a standard mirror, which is a bit of a shame because the US market for certain top model Toyota Land Cruiser, Toyotas, not Land Cruisers, do have a full display mirror, and the Tundra, which has most of these parts kind of swappable between certain models, that does get a full display mirror in certain models. So it would have been nice to have that in the Toyota Landcruiser Sahara, given that it's the range topper, because it greatly would have improved that rear visibility. In fact, in my old 200 series, I actually upgraded my mirror to have a full display mirror from the same company that supplies Toyota their full display mirrors. It's a straight swap in. I feel like it was a massive missed opportunity. Potentially just trying to free up supply of certain components to get the cars out there. So who knows? Outside of that, you have a sunroof up here, plus you have all your controls here for your lights. You haven't gone without for a sunglass holder. And that sunroof does open and tilt and do all the normal sunroof functions, plus also still comes with a cover across it as well. So on hotter days, or if you live in more remote areas where you don't want the sun coming through, you're pretty well catered there as well. Grab handles up here and up here make it very comfortable off-road. So one thing that we need to talk about is the reverse camera. Big, massive display for that reverse camera, and I'm kind of questioning whether the quality has dropped compared to the previous generation 200 series, because I don't feel like this is the best quality camera that is in a Toyota or has been in a Toyota. And although it has moving guidelines and it has a 360-degree view on the left-hand side, I feel like the quality is just not as nice and crisp in the actual picture. And I'd be curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section. Because again, another missed opportunity, and it feels like one of the features that was really good in the old Landcruiser has kind of gone back the other way in this model, particularly in something like a Sahara. But again, with Toyota, it's small things that, you know, are personal preferences rather than the ability of the car to actually perform for what it was made to do. So while it might sound like I'm being a little bit picky on a few things, I'm pointing out things that in my previous ownership experience of a Landcruiser product that I found were really good, that I'm surprised haven't come across into the new model. If you do think I'm being a little bit harsh and a little bit picky and judgy of this particular car, let me know in the comment section. I am always curious to hear everyone's feedback. But without further ado, let's jump in the back and let's have a look at how much room you get in the back of the car. Now, in the back of the 300 series, I gotta say, I think it feels a bit smaller than my 200 series that I previously had. There's no rails that adjust the seat anymore, so this back seat is where it is. The one thing you can adjust is the angle of the tilt. So if you wanted to lean back and watch your movie, you're pretty set and you're pretty good to go. Almost feels like a little bit of a private jet, but without quite as much room. So it's a great place to be if you're a kid or just someone's passenger. If you're the driver, see if you can tap out every now and then and enjoy the back seat. You do have HDMI inputs into the back, fast charge USBs, air conditioning controls, and what's really impressive with Sahara is that you do have heated and ventilated seats on the outer two seats in the back of this car, meaning whoever is in the back seats of this car is going to feel absolutely Hollywood with the amount of comfort that is available in the back. That front seat is the whole way back, so it's not where I would be driving. My driving position is more akin to this seat here, but this is to show you just how much space is still left for this seat when it is the whole way back. So if you are a bit taller than me, you should be able to kind of still fit with this seat a little bit more forward. Headroom is pretty good, pretty easy going here. And in terms of this area here, you have your cup holders that pop out. And I actually quite like the way it does it. It's almost like a little presentation, like a flower opening. It's just a really nice feature. But it's also soft opening. It's not a just kind of like blah, here's your cup holders. It's a little bit nice. I like it. And down here you have your ISOFIX points. So you have two ISOFIX points on the outer two seats for this middle area. And when it comes time to folding this down, this is my one concern that I have, is it comes awfully close to hitting that. So if your headrest was extended just by a normal usable amount, you would probably hit that. And I've had it in the past where I've had friends that needed to replace that rear screen in their car in order to get into the back of the car. because someone's flicked the seat forward at the wrong time, and the way that the previous seat flicked forward, it's ended up hitting whatever was in the back. Let me know in the comment section, do you think this is an issue? Would this stop you from having the confidence in buying this particular model, or would you just buy it? Outside of that, guys, it's a really comfortable place to be. Aircon vents directly above each of the rows. Let's have a look at how much space is in the back, and then let's take it for a drive and see how it goes. Now, sitting in the back of the Landcruiser 300 series, it's actually not that bad. It's better than the 200 series. It has a little bit more space. It is actually usable as an adult if you absolutely had to. Headroom, kind of just marginal. Aircon vents, luckily just here, but there's no aircon controls in the back. You will have to pray that whoever's in the middle wants to have the same amount of coolness as you in the back here. Cool feature as well is these seats. There is an electronic adjustment on the side that allows you to angle the back so that it's conveniently comfortable for you. But as you can see, it is made for smaller kids. It's not made for adults for long trips, because otherwise you've got quite a sharp angle going here from a comfort perspective. But I'm not touching the back seat of this row at all. So I have plenty of space behind that seat to actually not be bumping into the back of them. If you were the one person that was in the back and you had to have a fridge or something like that on the trip, it's actually quite a nice place to be, because you can lean over, grab the fridge, open it up, grab your snacks, snack away in the back while everyone else does their thing. So that is one of the advantages of this third row if you are a little bit taller and older. Cup holders are on the sides, so you will still have some space. But outside of that, it's doable. I don't know if I would do a 4-hour trip in the back third row as an adult. That's the one thing. So if you are using this car for extended periods of time and every seat needs to be filled, I would highly recommend seeing if you can borrow it from a dealer, go for a drive for an hour and have everyone in their allocated seats and see what everyone thinks of the comfort. Let's go for a drive. All right, so the drive of the 300 series. Now, if you were hoping that you would get a full four-wheel drive to drive in this car for this review, I'm sorry to break it to you, it's definitely just an on-road review. There are plenty of channels that have done very comprehensive and very capable four-wheel drive reviews, and this isn't one of them. But because most people are going to have most of their time with this car on road, either towing a caravan or just doing city runs and school runs, it's a perfect time to do a review around how it feels while you're driving around. Now, as I mentioned, it's really good that you can position your aircon in the areas you want. You can have your seat heating the way that you want. You can even have it auto, so that based on the air conditioning control outputs, it's going to work out whether it needs to be cooler or hotter for the seat for you to make it as comfortable for you. It also will try to manage fatigue that way and works out really well. In terms of visibility, you have plenty of it, and the one thing I have always liked with the Landcruisers is that this sun visor here is actually extendable, so it does reach out the whole way through. The one downside is, for a while the Landcruisers haven't had the dual sun visor, so you used to have one here and then you could have another one drop down. Unfortunately, just not something that you get with the 300 series. Smoothness and quietness. Now, it is a pretty smooth and quiet drive for the most part. I do find it's a little bit less quiet than my 300 series, and than my 200 series that I previously had, and that I do find that it's a little bit less quiet than the 300. I do find that it's a little less quiet than the 200 series Landcruiser that I previously owned, which was a lot quieter, a lot smoother, and a lot more effortless. However, the acceleration in this is much of a muchness. It's just that you can hear the engine a little bit more. That could be because it is a V6 instead of a V8. And it just might be that there's a little bit less insulation. Visibility in front of you, really nicely positioned heads-up display. You get your lane departure alert, instrumentation showing on there as well as your rev counter or your tachometer. You do have your speed, and you also have a speed sign warning system that's indicated there. So it tells me that the speed limit is 80, and that
Approaching speed camera.
And that if I'm going to go near a speed camera or something else, it will tell me. Outside of that, there's not much else that you need to kind of really be aware of. The car does everything really well. The seats in the Land Cruisers and Toyota in general have always been really, really comfortable. So from my side of things, again, I would highly recommend that this is an option for people. Especially if you've got a lower back that gives you some problems, or maybe just in general, it's just not as comfortable for you. The other thing that I would say is that the driving position is a really nice position. Like, you always feel like you're part of the car. You're not sitting into it, you're not sitting above it, like you're sitting as part of it. And this gives you a real nice car-like feel to what is a big SUV. And it's relatively comfortable and stable. There is a little bit of body roll that you get naturally with any of the Toyota Landcruisers. But outside of that, it's pretty good. As you can tell, we're recording this inside the car, so what you hear is what we're hearing, because this microphone doesn't have noise cancelling features on it. It just gets rid of a bit of the wind noise, but that's literally it. The display is perfect. It's one thing I absolutely do like about the positioning of this display. It's right in the line of sight, so you're not going to have to look away constantly at it. And the best part about this car is it hasn't fallen victim yet to the requirement to have a driver attention warning. And that means that you're not constantly going to be getting beeped at with all of the new annoying safety tech features that are meant to be safety conscious and aware, but end up being part of a suite of things that people just have enough of and end up turning off or blocking the sensor to permanently, kind of have nothing coming up with things like sticky tape. So I think overall a pretty good balance for technology and for progression from Toyota on this car. And look, they've always meant to be cars that last and go the extra mile rather than have the latest and greatest tech in them. So let me know in the comments section what you think of the current 300 series. I personally kind of like it. Like, it doesn't give you more than it needs, and it doesn't give you any less. It kind of just gives you exactly what you need. That's it for my review, guys. I think you would be absolutely well to go and test drive one, have a long drive of one if you can, and see if it fits your lifestyle in the way that you plan to use the car. Because certainly all the testing I've done with these over the last 4 years has made me incredibly happy with how they perform and just how they drive. So let me know in the comments section any other questions you have, and until next time, thank you for watching this review, and let me know how we can make each review better for you in the future.